Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. Today, we are diving into the origins of World War II. But look, we aren't just going to sit here and memorize a boring list of dates. Instead, we're going to track a massive, catastrophic domino effect. We'll see exactly how a single financial collapse on one side of the world triggered this crazy chain reaction, ultimately plunging the entire planet into the deadliest conflict in human history. Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our lesson plan blueprint for today so we can understand exactly how the world broke apart. 1. The global economic collapse. 2. The rise of aggressive dictators. 3. A failed global peace. 4. The policy of appeasement. And finally, 5. The breaking points. All right, Section 1, the global economic collapse. I want you to imagine a world where the safety net completely vanishes overnight. Picture this. The year is 1929. This right here is the very first domino to fall. In just a matter of days, the worldwide economic safety net simply evaporated. We call this the Great Depression. It was a financial shockwave so massive that it didn't just bankrupt businesses, it literally starved millions of people globally and entirely destabilized whole nations. So how do we get from a stock market crash to a world war? Well, there's a direct, tragic pipeline here. Step 1, you get massive unemployment and sweeping poverty. Step 2, that breeds severe economic instability across borders, which leads directly to Step 3, desperate citizens. History constantly shows us that when people are starving and terrified, they are way more likely to throw their support behind strong, aggressive leaders who promise super quick solutions to really complex problems. And that leads us perfectly into Section 2, Rise of Aggressive Dictators. Now, what's really interesting about this is how opportunistic these leaders were. You had Adolf Hitler in Germany, Benito Mussolini in Italy, and the militarist government in Japan, all seizing on this global desperation. And the terrifying part? Even though they were on entirely different continents, they used the exact same playbook. Germany was obsessed with overturning the Treaty of Versailles. Italy wanted to expand its empire into brand new territories. Japan was going after natural resources, specifically in China. But the unifying core for all of them, relentless military expansion and total national dominance. Moving on to Section 3, a failed global peace. Basically, where were the adults in the room? The adults were supposed to be the League of Nations. They were the ones responsible for maintaining order. But man, it was a tragic paradox. They were created right after World War I with a super noble goal to prevent future wars. But the reality? Completely toothless. They lacked any real military power. Major players like the USA actually refused to join, and essentially, they could only write angry protest letters, rather than actually enforce peace. Because the League could only issue protests, these aggressive nations realized a really dangerous truth. They could do whatever they wanted, and there wouldn't be any real consequences. So Japan invaded Manchuria in 1931. Italy invaded Ethiopia in 1935. Germany just illegally rebuilt its massive war machine. And the League of Nations? They just sat there and watched. Which brings us to Section 4, the policy of appeasement. You can really see Hitler's aggression escalating on a highly calculated timeline. First, he reoccupied the Rhineland. Then he annexed Austria, an event known as the Anschluss. Next up, he just completely absorbed Czechoslovakia. Step by step, he was brazenly violating international treaties, and the rest of Europe essentially just stood by. While Hitler was marching across the map, European powers were practicing something called appeasement. This is a crucial vocabulary word for us today. Appeasement was this desperate strategy where countries allowed Hitler to expand his territory, essentially giving the schoolyard bully exactly what he wanted. The flawed logic was, hey, if we just give him this one last piece of land, surely he'll stop, and we can avoid another world war. So I have to ask you, did appeasement work? The historical answer is a massive, definitive no. By repeatedly giving in to his demands, they didn't satisfy Hitler's appetite at all. Actually, scratch that, they did the exact opposite. They simply handed him the resources and the confidence to become vastly more dangerous. Let's move to Section 5 and see how this all builds up to the explosive climax, the breaking points. I want you to literally burn this specific date into your memory, September 1, 1939. This right here was the final spark. After years and years of unchecked tension, this is the exact day that officially kicked off World War II. What happened on that day? Germany invaded Poland. That was it. That was the ultimate line in the sand. Britain and France finally realized appeasement was a total and complete failure. The invasion forced them to officially declare war, and that spark in Europe instantly ignited into a full-blown inferno. But we have to remember, this was a global conflict. While Europe was erupting, aggressive expansion was already tearing through Asia. Japan had actually invaded China back in 1937. Their militarist government wasn't just looking for a little bit of land. They wanted absolute, total dominance over Southeast Asia and the entire Pacific region. And that relentless quest for Pacific dominance ultimately climaxed in 1941 with the devastating attack on Pearl Harbor. It was this specific strike that dragged the United States directly into the conflict. Those dominoes that began falling with the stock market crash back in 1929 had finally knocked down every boundary, completely engulfing the planet in war. As we wrap up today's explainer, I want to leave you with a really powerful thought. When global systems break down, how do we stop history from repeating itself? Because World War II wasn't just caused by aggressive armies appearing out of nowhere. It was fueled by economic desperation, failing international peacekeepers, and a total refusal to confront early aggression. Understanding this chain reaction is how you, as students of history, ensure these devastating events remain in the past. Keep questioning the world around you, guys, and I'll catch you next time.